this idea of experts revealing the difference between a psychopath and a sociopath. And I guess I thought of this because you do encounter these people from time to time. There's no way around it because they're out there. There's a statistical percentage around it. The main takeaway I took from it was that the psychopath, even though it wasn't definitive, that's not what they were saying, but the psychopath kind of has a genetic component to it, and the sociopath one, even though it was unclear, was more a product of their environment, growing up or whatever. But the other thing I did want to mention is, and I should track down the clip that I saw. It was quite a while ago, but it did stick with me. Someone who was talking about psychopathy and in relation to himself, because he was actually talking about it, but he actually did like a test, a proper test on whether he was or not. And it turned out that what shocked him was that he was flagged as having these indicators, but he was a, properly functioning person in society. He wasn't like, killing people or treating them with the disregard and everything. It's just that, maybe the factors of his upbringing, his environment, the support maybe he gets from other people didn't exacerbate any of those tendencies to come out. I just threw that in there just as an extra bit of context, because that maybe back then when I saw that clip we could have talked about it, because it really did interest me when he was talking about this. And he was basically saying, I think in the context of with these types of personality traits, that there's a tendency to say Hollywood glamorizes a psychopath as being a Hannibal Lecter type, which is also mentioned in the article, but it doesn't necessarily mean that. They could just be walking around and interacting and not having that kind of devastating impact, although potentially they might be in some other ways. Who knows?
Well, I guess this is the thing. Yeah, there is a particular image of a psychopath or a sociopath as typically being a serial killer, but they take on many different forms. And really what whichever one you're describing focuses on are a set of characteristics, usually basically based around narcissism or self-interest. And, unsurprisingly, there's the famous research that shows, I think, 85% of all CEOs score very high on the psychopath test. And there actually is a classic psychopath test. Once again, it's not definitive, but you can probably find it on the internet somewhere. It's 30 questions. You answer them and, it gives you a psychopath rating. And then there's also the other famous scenario test about, the woman who attends a funeral. I won't say any more about it. You can Google that. And basically, if you give the answer to that, then apparently you're a psychopath as well. So there's a lot of fun that can be had with it. It is very serious. Psychopath or sociopath are people that you probably want to avoid. There is also a very famous documentary made by the Australian Broadcasting Commission. The producer-director was Ian Walker. It's called I, Psychopath. If you can find a copy on iView, I recommend checking it out. It's about him going on a journey to look at psychopaths and meeting a real-life psychopath, and that itself is a pretty good story. So, I personally go old school. I really don't believe there's much of a difference between psychopaths and sociopaths, although, if you want to define a difference, you can see these experts have. But, yeah, generally best avoided, or better still, be one yourself.
Absolutely. And just quickly, I just wanted to touch on a point you made there about people who ascend leadership hierarchy demonstrating these traits. It actually kind of makes sense if you think about it, because if you were to have the kind of ambition to get to the top, like the real top, you really do have to have a lot of self-interest at play going.
There'll be a lot of skeletons in the closet along the way.
Absolutely. That's why, and it ends up on the news. That's